Since that first class donned their gray shirts, 900,000 Americans have served in AmeriCorps. And they committed 1.2 billion hours of service to get things done for America. Now here we are at the White House, joining ceremonies that are taking place across the nation in all 50 states at this moment and throughout the day, including territories. It's really an historic moment for every one of us. At this time, I would like to ask the members of the 2014 Class of AmeriCorps to stand. For the rest of our guests, the pledge is in your program and we invite you to follow along. As we recite the AmeriCorps pledge, let us remember that these very exact words were first spoken here at the White House 20 years ago today. And members, as you say these words, please consider its meaning. Take these words to heart. Think about them. And I hope that you will live these words from this day on. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I will get things done for America.
I will get things done for America.
To make our people safer, smarter, and healthier.
To make our people safer, smarter, and healthier.
I will bring Americans together to strengthen our communities.
I will bring Americans together to strengthen our communities.
Faced with apathy, I will take action.
Faced with apathy, I will take action.
Faced with conflict, I will seek common ground.
Faced with conflict, I will seek common ground.
Faced with adversity, I will persevere.
Faced with adversity, I will persevere.
I will carry this commitment with me this year and beyond.
I will carry this commitment with me this year and beyond.
I am an AmeriCorps member and I will get things done.
I am an AmeriCorps member and I will get things done.
Congratulations, AmeriCorps!
My experience fundamentally changed me. I am now a pediatrician at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland. I served. 20 years ago, I took a pledge to make our communities safer, smarter, and healthier. I carry this pledge with me every day. As AmeriCorps, we elevate our nation by being an indispensable force for promoting resilience in the face of adversity. Together, we strengthen America. As AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps alums, we get things done. My experience and that of nearly 900,000 fellow Americans would not have been possible without the wisdom, vision, and perseverance of President Bill Clinton. Our nation is so grateful for his leadership. It is my extraordinary honor to introduce the inspirational President Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Dana, and thank you for your service. Mr. President, thank you for inviting me to share this day with you, and thank you for your long history of community service. AmeriCorps' enduring impact remains after 20 years one of the most important things I ever had a role in public service. 21 years ago, on this lawn, we established AmeriCorps in the presence of the late Sergeant Shriver, who started the War on Poverty, and he loaned me the pen of his brother-in-law, President Kennedy, which he had used to sign the Peace Corps bill. 20 years ago, on this very day, we swore in the first AmeriCorps class. As I said then, and I believe is even more important today, service is a spark to rekindle the spirit of democracy in an age of uncertainty. I shared that great day with a lot of people, including Hillary, who campaigned across America with me in 1992, promising that we would create a national service program. She had participated in all kinds of community service. Her first job was with the Children's Defense Fund. She started the legal aid program in Arkansas at our university. We have lived this for a long time. I want to thank one person who's up at her own ceremony in Maryland today, our lead sponsor in the Senate, Senator Barbara Mikulski, who has been a determined defender. There were many people in the White House involved, including Doris Matsui, who is now a member of Congress, Shirley Sagawa, who wrote a book about this. And I want to thank, in particular, our first, and then when I left off, the biggest AmeriCorps component, City Year. Thank you, Senator Harris Wofford, for leading the Corporation for National Service and for your lifetime of service. I thank Congressman John Lewis and Congressman David Price, who were here then all that long time ago and supported it. And I want to thank someone who's not here, the man who shepherded the legislation through Congress and was the first CEO of the Corporation for National Community Service, the late Eli Siegel, whose wife Phyllis is here. We wouldn't be here without his efforts either. But most important, the celebration of this day goes to the volunteers and what they did with their lives in AmeriCorps and after. AmeriCorps works because all of you who went before kept your promise to get things done. AmeriCorps works because there are people from every walk of life, from every religion, from every racial and ethnic group, straight and gay, southern, northern, western, eastern, people who have already finished college and people who don't have their high school diplomas, and all things in between. There are now mountains and mountains and mountains of social research which prove that people who work together in diverse groups make better decisions and get more done. Therefore, creative cooperation beats constant conflict every single time. You prove that every day. I want to thank all of our forebears for the roots of this. Did you know the first cooperative citizens effort was the volunteer fire department started in Philadelphia by Benjamin Franklin in 1736. Before he became a country. Alexis de Tocqueville in the 1830s said, you know, these Americans, they're not like where I come from. When they want something to happen, they complain about it for a day or two, and then they just form a new organization and go do it. President Roosevelt tapped this in 1933 in the Civilian Conservation Corps. President Johnson lost Vista as a part of the War on Poverty in 1964. In the 80s, I was part of a group the Carnegie Corporation had called Turning Points, and we recommended that community service be a part of every middle school curriculum. There are 30 states now that give credit for community service toward high school graduation. And I'm proud to say the District of Columbia in Maryland is a part of it. Thanks to Kathleen Kennedy Townsend when she was Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. President George H.W. Bush's Points of Life Foundation still thrives. And I want to say there has been a bipartisan spirit, at least at the executive level, on this issue. When he left office, my predecessor, President Bush, asked me to preserve Points of Life. We doubled it. When I left office, I asked my successor, President Bush, to save AmeriCorps, and he increased it. And President Obama was kind enough to invite me in 2009 to the ceremony at which he and the late Senator Edward Kennedy promised to increase it again. And I hope that Congress will, on this occasion, reconsider its opposition to his budget request and give us a chance to grow AmeriCorps some more.
President Obama once said, "The best in me is owed to her," in honor of his mother. These words truly resonated with me because I know that the best in me is owed to my mother, Addie Marchena, and my father, Ivan Marchena Sr. My mother wasn't able to finish the 8th grade as she had to work to support her family. At 18, she immigrated from Costa Rica and moved to Florida. My grandparents immigrated from the Dominican Republic to New Jersey when my father was only 2 years old. He proudly served as a U.S. Marine Corps and worked for the local and federal court systems of South Florida for nearly 30 years. My parents worked harder than anyone I know to ensure that the dreams of my younger sister and I had access to the best opportunities available right here in America. And now I have the opportunity to serve my country as a public ally, AmeriCorps member with the YMCA. We will be helping to create an after-school program for the young boys who want a better life in Montgomery County. I could not be more proud to stand before you today and to become a part of the family of AmeriCorps members. Like our president, I will get things done. Please join me in welcoming the President of the United States, President Barack Obama.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Everybody have a seat. Have a seat. Welcome to the White House. Give Ivan a big round of applause for the introduction. Dana, thank you for sharing your story. And I want to thank all of you for joining President Clinton and me in celebrating this 20th anniversary of AmeriCorps. I want to thank some strong supporters of national service who are here today. We've got Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, who as a young aide to President Clinton, they both still look good, but 20 years ago helped to write the legislation creating AmeriCorps' 20-year legacy. So thank you, Jack, for the great job. You already heard from Wendy Spencer, she never runs out of energy and is reflective of the spirit of AmeriCorps, the CEO of the Corporation of National and Community Service. Great job, Wendy. My dear friend, former Senator Harris Wofford, who not only used to run the CNCS, but also helped to create VISTA and the Peace Corps. I don't know anybody who's got a greater legacy of creating community and helping people to channel their civic virtues than Harris Wofford. We're so proud of him. Carrie Hesser-Radelet, the new director of the Peace Corps. Where's Carrie? There she is right there. We've got Congressman John Lewis. Who didn't have an AmeriCorps program, just went out and got a whole lot done, which is why I'm standing here. David Price. Senator Martin Heinrich, the first AmeriCorps alum to be elected to the Senate. And everybody who's here who played a part in creating and sustaining AmeriCorps, both in the Clinton administration and the Bush administration and in Congress, and all the service leaders who mobilized and rallied over the years to keep AmeriCorps going. Thank all of you for living a life of active and energetic and engaged citizenship, because it has made America stronger. You have made America stronger because of what you've done. Now, as President Clinton mentioned, not everybody who played an enormous role in this could be here today. Two people in particular who aren't, but who are in our hearts. Eli Siegel, who did so much to get the Corporation for National and Community Service up and running 2 decades ago. And a man whose extraordinary achievements live on because he never stopped asking what he could do for his country, our dear friend Senator Ted Kennedy. His name is on the law that I signed 5 years ago, expanding AmeriCorps. It was one of the last big public events that Teddy did. A law that's going to give a new generation of Americans more opportunities to give back to their communities and their country. Teddy's wife, Vicki, as well as Eli's wife, Phyllis, are here today as well. We thank you so much for everything that you've done and for your support. Now, as Wendy mentioned, all of you who are here are part of the national event. Since yesterday, 9/11 Day of Service, hundreds of thousands of Americans have taken part in service projects in all 50 states. Michelle and I spent a few hours helping out a school here in D.C. Joe Biden volunteered down the street at George Washington University. Today, thousands of Americans are taking the pledge as new AmeriCorps members. President George H.W. Bush is swearing in volunteers in Maine. President George W. Bush and Laura Bush have filmed a video that's being shown across the country. So it echoes back to that day in 1994, when President Clinton swore in that first class of AmeriCorps members, right here in the White House. And some of the people who are here were in that class. And if you were, you might remember him saying that you were starting a journey that would change your lives forever. That AmeriCorps would change the life of the nation. That would give new life to the values that bind us together as Americans. And that was a bold claim, but Bill Clinton's an optimist. And he knew from his own life, as I know from mine, what service can do. The sense of common purpose that it cultivates. The opportunity to join our fellow Americans to work together for something other than just ourselves, for something bigger, for the common good. So he had high hopes on that bright September day, and he was not the only one. William Consuegra took the AmeriCorps pledge that day. Then he went to work for Youth Harvest in Texas, helping high school students improve their literacy skills. 20 years later, he's still a public servant, helping communities in New Mexico with community development. Matthew Little took the pledge that day. He went to work for City Year in Boston. There he says he discovered a new source of inspiration. Students who came to me with F's and left my homework club with A's, and he's been an educator ever since. Sandra Samuels took that pledge that day. She headed to Philadelphia, joined the Weed and Seed Initiative, helping communities reduce violent crime and gang activity, and she says that AmeriCorps taught her that I can look at my country and actually make it different, not just wish it were different. In Chicago, a bright, eager young woman shared in the hope of that day too. She had recently left her job at a law firm, became the founding executive director of Public Allies in Chicago, nonprofit that trains young people for careers in public service. And soon after, Public Allies received one of the very first grants that AmeriCorps ever awarded. And that young woman happens to live with me. Her name's Michelle Obama. So the Obama household was on board with AmeriCorps from the start. And for those of you who know my story, starting off as a community organizer, I would not be standing here if it were not for service to others and the purpose that service gave my own life. Now, I moved to Chicago to become a community organizer in parts of that town where steel plants had closed down and hope had dried up. And I wasn't sure what I was doing. I wasn't sure that I'd be successful. I was working with a group of churches out there, and we didn't have a lot of funding. I think my starting salary was $13,000 a year, and gas expenses. But what I found was that with patience and dedicated effort, I could make a difference. It wasn't always 100% of what I wanted. Sometimes it was just 20%. Sometimes it was just 50%. But it turned out that you could nudge history forward. You could shape it. You could see the lives of people that you cared about improving because of this blood and sweat and tears you were putting into it. And then I found a community for myself. And I began to understand what citizenship meant, not just some abstraction, not just words on a page, not just rights and privileges, but duties and responsibilities. And it gave me a sense of direction about how I wanted to live my life. So as it turned out, the idea of making a difference in other people's lives made a difference in mine. It made me whole. It gave me center. It gave me a compass. And that, when I look out on all these young people, Bill, is what's going to happen to them. Most of them are probably already a lot more sophisticated than I was at that time, and probably more gifted and more talented. But that's why when I look out, I can't describe how inspired I am. Because in each of you, I see unfurling all the incredible, wonderful things that you're going to be doing in your lives. 20 years after President Clinton signed and swore in that first AmeriCorps class, more than 900,000 Americans have learned the same lesson that I learned by serving through AmeriCorps. And they come from all walks of life, small towns, big cities, all backgrounds, all age groups. They've done everything from deliver emergency relief in the aftermath of disasters, to staffing health clinics in underserved communities, to helping veterans find jobs. They've touched millions of lives. They've helped America become stronger and more resilient and more united. So, Bill, you were right. AmeriCorps has changed the life of our nation. And now it's up to us to make sure it continues. Because we're not just here to celebrate what's already been achieved. We're here to rededicate ourselves to the work that lies ahead. And the world we're here to get things done. We are here to get things done. My administration has been determined to build on the foundation that President Bush and President Clinton and both Presidents Bush laid. We are determined to help AmeriCorps succeed. We've seen the outcomes that AmeriCorps members produce, improved literacy in the schools where they work. So, if we're smart, Congress will fund this calling that's meant so much to so many and keep AmeriCorps strong. And we'll keep doing our part. That's why I created a task force on national service last year to find new ways to expand and improve national service. We've tested innovations. We're creating new models of partnership. We've reached out to the private sector. So AmeriCorps is as effective today as it's ever been. We created new AmeriCorps programs to address specific needs. For example, FEMA Corps trains and deploys national service members to help communities recover from disasters like hurricanes and tornadoes. School Turnaround AmeriCorps sends talented individuals into underachieving schools. The new Justice AmeriCorps will pair AmeriCorps members who are lawyers and paralegals with unaccompanied immigrant children to get them legal help. STEM AmeriCorps is mobilizing scientists and engineers to inspire young people to discover and tinker and innovate and make things. And we brought businesses and nonprofits on board. So we've seen again and again how national service helps young people gain valuable skills and training, and employers have noticed. So we want to do more to help talented national service members find good jobs after they wrap up their service. And that's the idea behind an initiative we're announcing today called Employers of National Service. If you are an employer, if you're an employer who wants to hire talented, dedicated, patriotic, skilled, tireless, energetic workers, look to AmeriCorps, look to the Peace Corps. And organizations like the Disney Company, American Red Cross, and City of Nashville, United Way, and others are already signing up. They know what we know. Citizens who perform national service are special. You want them on your team. As of a few minutes ago, that includes our newest members, AmeriCorps class of 2014. So, you've got Catherine Stadola, just took the pledge. She's helping homeless veterans find housing through Habitat for Humanity here in Washington. You've got Jace Savoy, who took the pledge, and through City Year, she's leading a team of tutors for kids like herself in her old neighborhood in Southeast DC. Ivan, who you just heard from, took the pledge and is mentoring young people through Public Allies in Maryland. 75,000 members of this year's AmeriCorps class will spread out across the country. And they're doing their part to help make America safer and healthier and more fair and more just. Because like all those who serve their country through AmeriCorps, they don't just believe in, but live out a fundamental truth. And that is that people who love their country can change it. That is the genius of America. That is the promise of AmeriCorps. It's one of the reasons I am so committed to this program and why I'm so hopeful about the future. We are proud of it. That goes for all the AmeriCorps members over the years. And I'll always be proud to serve a country where there's such striving, dreaming citizens like all of you. Congratulations. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you, President Clinton.
At this time, I am going to bring up certainly a friend of service here in Philadelphia, a leader of service here in Philadelphia, and a friend of a number of the AmeriCorps programs here in Philadelphia. Our very own, huge round of applause, and leader in local and national service. Round of applause for Mayor Nutter. Good morning, AmeriCorps. Good morning, City Year. Good morning, Youth Bill. Good morning, young people who care about this city, this state, and this country. Good morning to all of you. Well, as you said, it's really hard to follow President Clinton and President Obama, so I'm not giving you everything I have today, but I'll say a few things that are on my mind. I need to thank a bunch of folks. You know that these programs and activities here in Philadelphia don't just happen by themselves. And so first and foremost, let us thank our host here, Principal Haley in Ben Franklin High School. Amin Akbar,
Thank our Director of Student Life, Youth Build, Philadelphia Charter School. And certainly Dr. Haidt and the great leadership that he is desperately trying to provide here in the School District of Philadelphia. Charles Adams, Executive Director, Teach for America, and Pat Schwartz, Executive Director, Penn Serve. Please give all of them a huge round of applause. Rick Ramsey, Vice President and Executive Director, City Year in Philadelphia. My good friend and Mitch Gupta, Executive Director, Mount Airy, USA. Mitch, thank you so much. Darryl Brundage, Managing Director of Impact, City Year. Darryl. And I think I know others will tell you this, and probably even Wendy Spencer, although she has to be careful because she's the national leader. But the best Chief Service Officer in the United States of America, Katie Wolfgang. Well, 20 years of the AmeriCorps program, and you've heard again from the best. The creator of the program, President Clinton, what a great friend he has been to Philadelphia, and certainly President Obama in his continued support. And see, some things even transcend party politics, because you also have the two President Bushes who have also supported this great program. We're fortunate to have so many of you engaged in service, and I'm pleased that certainly many of the members of the news media are here. See these positive young people doing the right thing, giving their time, doing what's required, and making something of themselves right here in the city of Philadelphia. And so let us shine a light on young people doing the right thing with their lives, in high school, out of high school, out of college, making things happen, getting stuff done. Getting stuff done. Young people doing the right thing, going to school, taking care of their business, working hard, helping other young people with literacy, and math, and science, engineering, doing the right thing with their jobs, with their lives. Put them on the front page of the Inquirer. Put them on the front page of the Daily News. Put them on the front page of the Tribune. Let them be the big story tonight in Philadelphia, is that you people are doing the right thing with their lives. That's a big story in Philadelphia, in Chicago, in New York, all across the United States of America. Young people are doing the right thing when adults do the right thing by them. So that wasn't in my notes. You all just, you know, this happens all the time. This happens all the time when I come to these events with all of you. Never end up looking at my notes other than thank the people I'm supposed to. You give me so much energy. You give me so much excitement. You give me so much joy for all the nonsense that goes on in the day-to-day backbiting and lying and cheating and stealing and all the other nonsense that goes on in this city and across the United States of America. Whenever I'm out with you, whenever we're doing something positive, it reaffirms to me why I came into public service nearly 30 years ago myself. 20 plus years of elective office, 30 years of public life, and all I want to do is help other people. That's why you go into public service. That's why you join AmeriCorps. That's why you're in Youth Build. That's why you join City Year and all of these other programs that the two presidents talked about. That's why people do it. Because some people just want to help other folks. And you're making a difference each and every day. And those of you in school, finishing up in Youth Build, you know I love coming to your graduations. You have some of the best graduations of any graduates that I go to. You have your graduating seniors and your rising juniors all in the same room, giving people an idea of what they can do and what their future can be when they move from the back to the front over the course of the next year. And I love this program. You know I support Youth Build. Here, you know that every event that I go to, if I see one red jacket, 20 red jackets, I always say, city is in the house. The impact that you have, many of you work in our schools. These are the most challenging times our schools and our school students, more importantly, have ever faced. Cutbacks in services, cutbacks in programs, cutbacks in teachers, cutbacks in counselors, cutbacks in nurses, services, cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts. Every day, you're in those schools, working with those young people. Maybe they'll remember your name, maybe they won't. Maybe you won't remember their names, but I can tell you for a fact that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that young person now grown up is going to remember that there was someone in their school that they could talk to, that there was someone in their school that they could spend some time with, that there was some adult person. I know many of you don't necessarily see yourselves as adults, but if you're working with middle school students or even high students, you are an adult to them, and they're going to remember that some adult actually gave a damn about them and their future. And that's what's important. That you care. So when you have those moments, if you ever wonder within yourself, early in the morning, late at night, don't have all the resources, don't have all the tools and equipment, don't have all the supplies that you need, if you ever wonder for one moment if you're making a difference, let me tell you right now, don't wonder anymore. You are. You are making a difference in the lives of our kids. That's why our graduation rates are going up. That's why our test scores are going up. That's why there's more safety in our schools, because often you are the only thing between confusion, chaos, or calm. You're making that difference. They respect you. They look up to you. And they see these young people over here going to school, may have dropped out, now back in, striving on with their lives, making something of themselves, doing the right thing every day. You're back in school. You're doing the right thing. And go on to a 2-year or a 4-year. Go to community, go to temple, go wherever you want to go. But go somewhere and get something done, because you're already on a path to success. You're the ones that are making a difference. So I love all of you. I'd love to stay here all day, but they won't let me. But thank you for having me at this event today. I could not be more excited about it. I promise the folks I'll go back over there. We got some more selfies to take over here on this side of the room. And then now I'm seeing some activity over here with the folks. So I'm going to be around for a little bit, hopefully not be too disruptive. But I want to commend you, and please send the word back to Wendy Spencer. Shortly after she got her position, she came to see me. She'd been on the job, I think, about a month or so. We started talking. At that time, I was president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I said, well, I think we need to get mayors more actively engaged across the country and have a Mayor's Day of Service. Out of that idea, there are now 1,500 mayors across the United States of America who engage in a Mayor's Day of Service, getting their communities actively engaged and involved. That was one conversation. It was one idea. I just threw it out there. He said, let's make this happen. And the only point in telling you that story is not to attract any kind of attention. It's the power of one. It's the power of an idea. You have ideas. Share them. Tell your story. Because that's the last thing I'm going to say to you. It's not just me because I'm the mayor. It's not just the president because you're the president, or other people that you see on TV and read in the newspapers or hear their voice on the radio. Every one of you in this audience has a story. Every one of you is important. Young people need to hear your story. They need to hear about the time that you were struggling in math class. They need to hear about the time when you weren't sure if you were going to graduate. They need to hear about the time when maybe you had some challenge or difficulty in your life. They need to hear it. They need to understand it, because it's not how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up. It's not about where you start. It's about where you finish. And so if you only watch TV, if you're only looking at the movies and you see all these folks in there suddenly successful, well, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. Because a part of my story is I ran for city council for the first time in 1987. I lost that race. Virtually no one remembers that. I went back to my job. I was working at an investment firm. My car had died during the course of the campaign. I had no car, had been out of work for a while. When I was in college, I had one of those, those water jugs, the big water containers like Deer Park or whatever it is. And for years, I had been putting change in that water container. And when I found myself after that race, with no car and just starting back up in a job, I had to turn that water container upside down to get quarters out of that water container so that I could get on SEPTA to go to work. Quarters out of a water container in 1988. And today, I am the 98th mayor of the city of Philadelphia, my hometown. That's where I came from. That's a part of my story. And that's the easy stuff, because I know some of you have had much more challenging circumstances and situations. So all I'm saying is, tell your story. I was not instantly successful. I didn't win every race. I've known a loss or two from time to time, and you've had struggles as well. Tell your story to these young people so that they can understand that you're going to have some challenges in life. You're going to have some difficulties in life. You're going to have some barriers in front of you. You're going to have some negative people who are constantly trying to grab at you and pull you back and hold you back and tell you what you can't do. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you cannot do, because they don't know you. And they don't know your story. And they don't know where you came from. And they don't know what you're capable of.